TV.
What's going on?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good.
Well,
Welcome to Kaz TV.
I'm excited.
so where are you from? What part of the country are you in? And then just introduce yourself to anyone who may not already know you.
So my name is Julia Bailey. I live in Miami. I am 22 years old. I do a lot of things. I'm actually currently a business coach. I'm going to be transitioning into coaching women in how to be fit and feminine so that they can get better men in the dating market. I was a fitness coach previously from 2019 to 2021. And then I got into business coaching, and now I'm looking to transition again and just really help women break out of that feminist ideology, show them how to just, refine their appearance, refine their mannerisms, and attract better men.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what we usually do on here is we typically let whoever introduce themselves, and then we just go ahead and jump right into the topic. And then from there, if people would like, they can hop on and ask questions for a couple seconds, go back and forth, and we can go ahead and go from there. C-Love, if you have any questions for her, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm good to go. No questions right now.
Man, we all good. We in this thing.
So, C-Love, you have some questions for her while I go ahead and send this to everybody or not?
So I guess my first question would be like, what is your number one advice to women as far as like making them more attractive to men?
Yeah, so I'd say my number one advice to women as far as being more attractive to men, when it comes to attraction, of course, you have your inside and your outside, but if we're being 100% honest here, when it comes to men initially being attracted to a woman, it really depends on, how does she look externally. So I tell women, it's not only one thing. I think it's honestly, working on your face, working on your body, having positive attitude, like having a smile, don't have RBF. There's a lot of things that go into it, but like
real quick, not trying to cut you off. What is RBF?
RBF, I don't want to curse, but resting, BITCH, face.
Oh, got you.
Yes, that's RBF. Yeah, but I think, the main thing that I really like to focus on is, I think, honestly, your face, and then next thing would be your body, and then after that is your attitude, and then, of course, there's a lot of other things that can come after that, but those are the three main things.
So you say your face. How does it, is it makeup? Like, how do they change their face?
That's a good question.
It can be a mix of both. So I think, obviously, you do have makeup, but there's also natural ways to make yourself look better. So starting off with natural ways to look better, like I tell women, for example, a lot of us, we don't have the most fullest eyebrows starting off. So it's when you do things like putting castor oil on your eyebrows and your eyelashes, it literally makes them grow in thicker. Getting a good night's sleep. If women start to prioritize, getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep, get off of TikTok and actually go to bed so that you don't wake up looking like a zombie, things like that. Making face masks at home, there's so many things in your fridge that you can literally go ahead and make something, put it on your face, and have clear skin. Obviously you're not going to have a perfectly contoured face, with no makeup, but it's you can do things to benefit your appearance that you don't need so much makeup on your face. I think makeup can be used, but I don't encourage going overboard with it in a sense. Yeah.
So what would you say to someone who says something like, that sounds superficial. I want to be a deep woman. I want to be a deep partner. That sounds kind of superficial. That's what I see in Cosmo and stuff.
Okay, good point. And again, I get that it can be superficial, but let's be real. A woman that leaves the house not looking put together, she's not going to have a lot of men hitting on her, much less men at all. And I know that because I have tons of women messaging me every single day, women that I talk to on a daily basis that struggle with this. So yes, it is superficial in a sense, but it can be used to your advantage. It's just men always say, they want attractive women. So
somebody said in the comments, you can't show a man your deep side if he doesn't look at you.
Yeah, no, exactly. If I'm in the house looking like a mess, my hair is a mess, my breath stinks, my outfit sucks, like I look frumpy. It's like the man won't even look at me, and I'm like, if he doesn't even look at you, how can you be his wife? He doesn't even look at you. So it's like your appearance definitely does matter. It's not everything, but in the dating market, let's be real, men like attractive women. Yeah.
So I'm in agreement with you 100%. I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
I love it. I love it.
What if somebody were to, because have you heard this response where someone's like, well, if he cares about my physical like that and doesn't want to just get to know the deepness of me, and he doesn't notice my deepness, then I don't even want that guy. Why do you think there's a response like that? And how do you respond back to that? Or have you ever heard that? Have you ever heard that question?
No.
Like
no one. That's obviously a viewpoint. No one has said that to me, because women that are in my platform, they know that like I don't play that game. Like I'm not playing that game with them. But as far as that mindset, I mean, yeah, you can think that. Women can think that, oh, it's superficial and he should just love me for who I am. But unfortunately, that's not how it works. Like, again, you know, if women want to leave the house as they are, they don't want to do their hair, they want to look average and boring, it's like, you can do that, but you're not going to get the best results. So it's just like, you know, if you want to play a losing game, play the losing game. But like, I want to make women winners. So I would recommend that kind of thinking, no.
And do you think that the response that, like the pushback responses I gave, do you think it's because people truly don't understand, and maybe they're confused about how men view the world versus how women view the world in the dating market? Or do you think that they really know and they just don't want to do the work? Or is it a combination of both?
It's a combination of both. I think that there are women that genuinely just like don't understand. Like I know these women, like they want to get men, but they genuinely just don't understand. But you also do have like women with that feminist ideology where it's like they know how men work, but they just, you know, they want to have so much pride and so much ego, and they just refuse to do what it takes because it's sexist, it's misogynistic. So I think it can be both. It just depends on where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you think because I would kind of argue that the feminist woman is someone who really just doesn't know. I would think that the person who's been like brainwashed into feminism, I think they truly believe those things. I mean, you probably dealt with more feminists than I have, but I don't know. I think they just don't know. Do you think they know, or do you think they really just don't know?
No, you'd be surprised. A lot of them know, but they're just really stubborn. Trust me. They're just stubborn. Like they know. And even like when it comes to cooking, for example, it's like women know because I tell them, like, I'm like, men want you to cook, they want you to clean, but they're just like, you know what? I don't want to do it because why should I do it? Why should any man require me to do this? Like, again, it's just, you know, I think what you're saying is valid, but it can really just depend. I don't think there's like a solid answer as far as like it's black here.
So there's this book that I always bring out. It's called His Needs, Her Needs. I
have it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, she's a fan.
I think it's a great book.
It's amazing.
And one of the things that he points out is just the fact that, you know, men and women oftentimes view what they want in a spouse. That's what my spouse would want. And so they try to be that. You know, and I think that men have been opened up to the idea, like they've been made known through media, through a lot of, you know, just interacting in the world. This is what women want.
Yes.
And I think that the world, TV, and the media is pushing women to believe this is what men really want. Miss Independent. That's why I love her. You know, like
Neo's
all
freaking
that.
lying. He's lying.
And it's like they're really being told these messages of this is what guys want. Neo, high value man. He's singing about he wants a Miss Independent. You know, these movies they're putting out these movies with these like attorney lawyer types. Kelsey, if you're on here, we're not talking about you. That are like, I don't need a man, blah, blah, blah. And then a man is attracted to her because she's that way. And I don't know. I it's just kind of crazy how the world is pushing that narrative, and then in the other way, it's I don't know. I mean, have you noticed that's why there may be a disconnect there to a degree? Do you think a lot more women today have heard that message growing up, and so they really truly believe that?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in that message. That's what my parents taught me, believe it or not. That's literally how I grew up. I'm Black, so that's kind of just how I was raised. Like, you know, you got to be this strong, independent woman, go get your degree, get a career. You know, you don't need a man. If you want to have kids, but not until you're 30. Like, that's what I grew up hearing. And I think that's unfortunately what a lot of other women have grown up hearing as well. And it's like a lot of people just don't know better. Luckily, like, I somehow got myself out of it. But I mean, I think for most women, again, it's just like, you know, they've been indoctrinated so deep by, you know, their parents. They grew up in these single mother homes, you know, going to public schools, you know, college, all the other propaganda in the world. So a lot of women are just genuinely lost, and, you know, they truly do believe. Like, right before we got on this call, I was actually on my Explore page, and I saw this post, and it was like things that a man wants, and the second slide said independent. I was like, I literally got out of it immediately. I was so annoyed. I'm like, no.
What was the page? What was the page called that shared it?
I forgot. I didn't look at the name of the page because I was so annoyed. But it was some like
Was it like the Huffington Post or something like that?
Oh my gosh.
It was some relationship advice page. I think it had like love or relationship in the handle. But anyways, like it literally said like, you know, a guy wants a woman that's independent and ambitious. And like, I don't think it's a bad thing. Like, as far as ambition goes, I don't think it's a bad thing if a woman wants to work from home. But I think, you know, when you go into 9 to 5, it's very hard for you to say feminine. But just as far as being independent, feminine women need men because they don't try to do it on their own, because part of being feminine is not being Superman. Like, that's not how God designed it to be. So I think a lot of women are trying to use their independence as something to like reel in men, and it reels in men, but it reels in beta men that are just going to use you and leech off of you, versus like women don't want that. They deep down want masculine men, but it's like you don't polarize a masculine man with your independence. So that's where there's a major disconnect right now.
Now, do you think having independence it automatically means that you have all that masculine energy and things like that? Like, knowing I can get this done, I can do this, I can go out and make money, I can be successful. Does that always correlate to you know, disagreeableness and things like that? Because I want to know your thoughts on that, because I've kind of had an interesting, like I don't want to say change of heart on that recently, but I've kind of broke that down in my discussions with some people and questioned some of that a little bit.
Yeah. So basically what you're asking me is if a woman is able to make it out in the world on her own, does that impact her being agreeable in a relationship? Is that the question?
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll just more so say what I figured out, because I don't want it to come off like gotcha, you know what I mean? But it's almost like, because I'm for everything that you're posting and things like that, right? I think that everything that you're promoting is positive. I just know that sometimes other people take the message and run a totally different direction with it, and it's like, she's got to be broke, she can't have anything, and I think when we really try to break down what are the symptoms of, you know, a bad wife, or what are the, like, not the symptoms, but what's causing the symptoms, you know what I mean? And obviously there is going to be a correlation between like success, financial success in the workforce, and then that disagreeableness. But you got to think about it like this, though. That's the only time disagreeableness is needed in success is if you're talking about the corporate world, corporate ladder, things like that. You look at people like, you know, Rebecca Barrett, yourself, that have social media pages. You're intelligent enough to put out the message and to express these and share it with the right people. And you're essentially building your own business without having to tap into that disagreeableness.
Yes.
And that's where I think that that's where I would say it's good to say that's why I would say the only way that you can say, hey, I want someone that's successful, because we have a friend that's like, my wife's got to be successful, you know, and he argues with us all the time. And I did think, I was like, well, if there is a way that she can be successful financially without having to tap into that disagreeableness thing, then I guess theoretically it's possible.
Yeah.
And so in that regard, you know, if she's got a side hustle on Instagram that's got 500,000 followers and she's talking about how to help women, you know, be better wives like you're doing, I think that's great. I don't think there's a problem with that. Now, I do think when you're like, hey, she's a CEO of a Fortune 500 company and worked her way up the ladder, I think some of that is going to cause some of those traits to come out in her personal relationships.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
I agree. Yeah. And I always, you know, as far as like when it comes to work, I always tell women, like, you know, I'm not against you working, but I think for you to be able to tap into like your most feminine self, like it's best if you try to get out of like the 9-to-5 corporate hustle, because like you said, like, I just feel like that type of work requires a lot of masculine traits versus like for me, I've been working from home since the end of 2019, December 2019. And obviously, you know, even doing social media, like technically, yeah, you do have to tap into, I guess, some of like that hustle masculine principle. But when you work for yourself and you work from home, you're able to embrace a lot more of that flow. Like, you know, when you're your own boss, like I don't have anyone to be disagreeable with. Like I'm just doing what I'm having fun and I'm just being in my passion, and like it's not that serious, and like therefore, you know, I'm not, at the end of the day, like I'm not burnt out, I'm not stressed, I'm not mad. Whereas like, you know, these women that are going to these 9-to-5 jobs and working in cubicles, like they come home, they're tired, you know, they don't want to have sex with their husband, they don't want to cook a meal, they can't clean the house. So yeah, I think that women can work and, you know, you can be successful, but I just think that it's best if you do it at home and you just work on something that you're passionate about versus like having to work for a boss that you hate and sit in a cubicle that you hate.
Right.
Yeah. I got a question.
Yes.
You said you're how old?
I'm 22.
So that's pretty young, I would say, right?
22?
Yes.
Yeah, 22. She's 22.
I don't know. Wait, I missed that somewhere. Did you say you were 22 earlier?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, C-Love. I didn't know you were 22.
So I just wonder, like, do you ever get any like pushback or like negativity, like just because of your age, like any women kind of like, what does she know about womanhood and being feminine? She's only 22. She only been on the earth, like, you know what I mean? She's only been an adult for like 4 years. You know what I mean? I mean, do you ever get any of that?
Yes. So I have gotten pushback. I think I used to get a lot more pushback in the past versus now. So I didn't start posting about femininity up until I'd probably say like maybe a couple of months ago. Like it's probably been like 3, 4, 5 months. So I'm relatively new to like this niche and like talking about all these things that fall under being feminine. And I think when I first started to convert my content, I did get a lot of pushback from like young girls. You know, of course, like a lot of my audience is women 18 to 24. Like I don't even blink.
What was the pushback?
I mean, I would talk about the patriarchy and they're like, you know, the patriarchy kills and it's so oppressive and women have come so far. Why would we want to take them back? Like just, you know, silly arguments. You know, women my age can't even, you know, make solid arguments. So it never really got to me. I think another thing that I've gotten pushback on is like I am an advocate for women, you know, pursuing marriage at a younger age. I'm personally not married yet, but I am currently being courted. But I do just advise women, you know, when you are young, like don't waste your prime years of 18 to 24 or whatever you want to consider your prime. I consider it 18 to 24. Don't waste that on casual sex. Don't waste it on girls' night out, girls' trips, hot girls' summer, you know, booty calls, all that stuff. Like it's just stupid. It's like, why would I waste my most beautiful and fertile years on men that don't even want to marry me? Like that's just so silly. And I always want to push that message, but of course, you know, women tell me, they're like, oh, but we're not ready. And I'm like, you're not ready because you are having casual sex and doing hot girl summer. If you stopped, I promise you, you would be ready. So I think that again, like, women will push back on me, but it's like their arguments are not that valid and they're very silly. And I'm just like, you're just trying to, you know, start drama because you don't want to stop effing, you know, your booty call. So it's very irrelevant. And I just continue to put out the same message because I'm not fazed by women that don't know a clue about, you know, why God put them here and what they should be doing. Like, I'm not going to let that get to me.
So what caused the shift in your mindset? Because you said, how old were, so now that I've got an understanding of the age,
Yes.
How old were you when you were doing all this feminist stuff?
I'm probably any time before this year.
Oh, okay. So this is recent. So it's fresh on your mind.
Fresh.
What was the driving factor that kind of opened your eyes to, like, oh, this feminism stuff is actually leading me to a bad place?
Yeah, I would say I got back, and I've grown up as a Christian. I kind of fell out of my faith probably between, like, you know, high school and starting college. And then I actually just got back into church back in November of 2021. And my church is very big on, like, not embracing feminism, you know, women embracing their natural design. They believe in submission, having kids, marriage, all that good stuff. So I think just...
So they're biblical.
Very, very, exactly.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, most churches are not, and it's sad that I even have to say that. Like,
right.
Most churches are not. But yeah, I think just, like, being in my church and, like, just having that message marinate on me. I also got baptized back in March of this year, so that obviously caused a change in heart too. And I have to just attribute that to my church, honestly. Just, like, I have a very biblical, God-fearing church that I attend, and, like, that really helped me to...
What's it called?
It's called Square Root Church. It's located in Cooper City in Florida, South Florida.
Square Root
Church, yeah.
Don't be trying to check her, Zach.
No,
don't be trying to check her on this live.
Let me just
we believe you go to church. I'm sorry.
No, I believe you went to church. C-Love just found out you're not married, so that's why he's trying to act like this. Okay, he's single too. So, but anyway, no, I had to ask because there was a time when we had somebody that was like, we've been in situations where we have somebody like, yeah, my church is blah blah blah. I go, oh, what's it called? Church of Latter-day Saints. You know, I'm like, whoa. You know, Mormonism, that's not, you know, so, you know, I just figured I'd ask. You never know what people are going to say, so I just thought I'd ask. We had to make sure.
Why not?
They could be like, oh, Zach and C-Love, they think Mormonism is right and stuff too. So I just, you know, you never know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so basically your relationship with God is what opened your eyes to that.
100%. Only God could have done that, because I was deep in my feminist mindset. I told myself, I was like, I'm not getting married. I didn't want to take any men seriously. I remember when I was 18, I told my parents I want to get my tubes tied. Like, I didn't even want to have kids.
Ever?
I didn't want kids. I didn't want to get married. I just wanted to, believe it or not, I'm going to expose myself a little bit. When I was 18 years old, all I aspired to do was have a sugar daddy, and that was it. No kids, no husband, none of that.
What? Wait, okay, so I got a question. Where did all of this energy, feminine energy, I don't want kids, I want a sugar daddy energy come from?
Let me ask you, let me ask this though. Is the sugar daddy thing a feminism thing?
I think it is.
Because don't the feminists say, like, I can do it on my own, I don't need a man to do it for me?
Well, they're using a man.
They're using a man, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But okay, so to tell you guys where that mindset, my parents, they got a divorce when I was 9 years old. It was a very nasty divorce. I watched my dad and my mom, like, pretty much fight every night. Just very nasty things. I don't really want to go into details, but just my parents had a horrible marriage. Let's just put it that way. And so I think just watching their divorce, and obviously just watching them when I was a child, I just had such a negative outlook on, like, family, marriage, love. I was like, this stuff sucks. It's for the birds. Everyone in my family is divorced as well too. So I just think, you know, and it's in the Black community, like, you know, divorce is just super rampant in our community. So I just did not grow up seeing any proper marriages or any happy families or people staying together. So I just grew up kind of feeling bitter and jaded, and I just told myself, like, I'm not getting married, I'm not having kids, don't want to be like my parents, so I'll just have a sugar daddy, get my bills paid, get a G-Wagon, and, you know, live a materialistic dream. That was literally what I aspired to do when I was 18 years old. Luckily, things didn't go down that way. Thank you, Jesus. But that is where I was 4 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad your eyes were open to that. What, if you don't mind sharing, since you shared that, I mean, what was your testimony like? How did God reveal himself to you in a way that it opened your eyes to these things?
Yeah, so I have a friend, her name is Liz Mari, so she actually introduced me to the church that I was going to. At the time, I was craving a relationship with God, but I just was looking in all the wrong places. I was actually kind of getting into like New Ageism, and like it was confusing me a lot. You know, I was like 19 years old, like I didn't know better. I was trying to find God, but then like I found out about like affirmations, meditation, and yoga. And I was like, I just didn't know how to decipher between, what was what and what was right and what was not. Mm-hmm. So luckily I had a good friend of mine that introduced me to my church, and she told me like, you have to come. And I knew, I was like, I know God wants me here. Like, I know that, I'm meant for more, that I need to be back in my faith. And I just told myself, obviously the first time you go back to church, like you're obviously not like 100% there. You're not fully feeling it. But I just told myself, come every Sunday, put it in your calendar, just get consistent with it. It's not always supposed to, like, church is not supposed to feel good. Like, we're not supposed to be happy. We're supposed to be holy, honestly. Mm-hmm. So I just told myself, like, stay consistent with it. Just continue showing up. And, the more and more that I went, like, the more and more I felt the Holy Spirit, just pouring into me. And, I got back into my Bible. Obviously, sometimes I do struggle with being consistent with reading it. But luckily right now I'm doing really good. And also just, like, getting back into prayer. And just really like humbling myself before the Lord and like asking him for help, because I truly feel like, to transform from, being a feminist to, wanting to be a feminine homemaker, like you really just need God, because it's hard to do it on your own, especially when you're 22 years old living in Miami. So yeah, just consistency really helped me.
Wow.
Always. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Pretty sure that was a challenge.
Huge challenge.
So did you lose any friends, things that, or okay? Well, how was that?
So yeah, I mean, I think that I probably lost like a lot of the original friends that I had. I mean, the friends that I had at 18 are definitely not the friends that I have now. Like, of course, I have a friend group now, but it's just like a very different type of friend group. And I think, when I was 18, 19 years old, kind of going through this transition period, obviously, a lot of my friends, they want to have sex, casual sex, hot girl summer, all that stuff. So of course, I did kind of have to pull myself out of that. It's not like, my friends didn't want to still be my friends, but I just think when you're on that journey with God, sometimes you do have to just release those people that will hold you back, because it's very easy to be brought back into sin. So, it was hard, obviously, losing your friends and feeling like you don't have a social life. But, I was willing to do that. And I think that it's definitely paid off. And like, I'm super blessed to have the friends that I have now. And like, even social media, like I have so many girls that I connect with on here too. Like, even though I don't know them in person, I think that the community on social media is still like very valuable to me as well, as far as just community overall.
Did any of them, was any of the responses like, oh, let me join you? Like you've been kind of bringing them to church at all or anything like that? Or was it kind of, hey, good for you. You do that. That's okay. I'm not going to do it, but it's okay for you. Or was the response, you think you're better than us? Or was it kind of like a little bit of everything? How was that?
Yeah. So again, since I'm so young, I think for the most part, like most of them were just like, yeah, like you go do that. I'll stay behind and do what I'm doing. I think now that I've been so vocal about my views through social media, like a lot of my maybe like per se older friends that watch my content now, they're kind of warming up to it, which I'm very grateful for. But I'd say for the most part, most of my friends just, stayed behind, did what they were doing, and that's cool.
They were like, yeah, you do that church thing. I'll be a hot girl.
I'll do that hot girl summer. I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah. But
does that make you sad?
What'd you say? Sorry?
Does that make you sad?
I mean, I'm not sad that I lost them as friends, but I'm just sad because obviously I do want women to do better. So I do think that it just makes me sad in the sense that like I don't want to see people run their lives to the ground and like, you know, forget why God put them here. I think that's the part that makes me sad.
Especially if it's people you were close to at one time. Where it's like, man, I really like I still want them to have a good life, and I know the direction they're going is making them they probably won't have one.
Yeah, and I still feel that to this day when I see certain women doing certain things. I'm just like, I feel really bad. But I remember that, you know, I don't have to sit and dwell on it. You know, rather I can take it to the Lord. You know, I'm very consistent in prayer now, and whoever it is that I feel bad for per se, as far as like women, friends that I know, I just pray to God. I'm like, God, like, please just help me, you know, wherever I can, like, help me to minister to them, help my content to wake them up. Like, I just pray that they can get out of this feminist mindset, because I genuinely think that like the Lord can do so much, and like prayer is so powerful. So I just, even like some of my followers, like I'll literally just in the morning, you know, pray for certain girls that I just know, like, God, like, just help me speak to them, because I put effort into my content and my message. I don't like post a lot on my feed, but like I do a lot of stories, and like genuinely put like so much time and thought into what I say. So I just always pray like, God, just help me to say what I need to say so I can help women that need to be helped, because there's genuinely such a need for women to get out of that feminist thinking. Like, it might not be impacting them now, but I just think like, how is life going to look for you at, you know, 50, 60, 70, 80, God forbid if you hit 90 and you're single with no kids, like, how does that look for you?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So and that's why that's why I say some of the things I say.
That's something a lot of people don't think about, is that future, like that end goal down the line. Like, what is my life going to look like when I'm trying to be a hot girl now? Like, what is it going to look like? Or a hot guy? I don't know the word for it, but
Yeah.
Hot guy. So, and I
City
think
boy.
that's your motivation. That's your motivation for the messages that you give, is because you don't want to see these women harming themselves. At least that's what I'm getting from what you're saying.
100%. Yeah, I don't want to see women wasting away their best years and just their overall life. Again, like I said, for casual sex, trips, and hot girl summers, like, it's just not worth it in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, I mean, like, I'm not perfect. Obviously, like I said, you know, I had that feminist thinking in the past, but, you know, luckily God opened my eyes. And again, like, I have an audience that's so young. Like, most of the girls following me are 18 to 24. So I just want to be that one that can like level with them and like help to show them, you know, a better alternative to what a lot of them have been indoctrinated into.
Right. Yeah. And that is kind of my, let there be light. Okay. So that is kind of my my approach to some things as well. Like, I'll say some things that people are like, that's me. And I'm like, the reason I'm saying it is because if you don't know it, this lie you're believing will hurt you. And I think that it's good for our society to know, hey, some of the people that are saying this stuff are saying this because they want to help you. Now, I will say this. There are people out there who realize this is kind of a trend, and they'll say things because they know it gets a reaction. And whether or not they believe it or not, they don't care. If it makes the world a better place, they don't care. It gets some likes, it gets some views, and they get to make fun of somebody in the process. Now, I'm all about having fun and saying certain things, but I think if you know the person's heart, like what you're saying, you're trying to help people. And and how do you get across, and I'm assuming this is probably frustrating you, how do you get across to people that you are trying to help them while they may view you as the villain in their life?
Yes, that's a good question. Again, like, it's that, and that really connects with, like you mentioned, getting pushback. So of course, you know, I make a lot of controversial positions on my story, and I do have a lot of women that reach out and like they're upset with me, whatever it might be. And what I do is, you know, I can be sometimes a little bit sarcastic, but what I try to do is, like, when people DM me and, you know, they feel some type of way about my content, I just try to hit women with like the logical reasoning behind why I say certain things, because you know women are very emotional. So it's like they see something, like for example, I say, you know, you should cook, then it's like automatically they think, oh, it's sexist, or like you don't like women, or you're trying to oppress women. But when I can, you know, just like breathe and I just, you know, send them a voice memo, I'm very calm and I just tell them, okay, like this is why I said this because X, Y, and Z, like here are the logical facts. Take it if you want, but like, you know, I mean well and I just want to see you do better. And like when I do that, when I just send people like, you know, just calm voice memo explanations, like a lot of women are actually like, okay, thank you, like that makes sense. I'm sorry for, you know, coming at you at this certain way. And, you know, they end up staying in my audience and continuing to follow me. So I've been learning that when people get mad with what I have to say, I just have to take responsibility as like a mature woman to try and level with them, because back then when people would give me pushback, I'd be kind of like rude to them. But I realized like obviously that's not becoming of a woman. So I just try instead to like stay calm. Obviously I'm not perfect at it, but I try to just, you know, reason with people and explain my stance in a logical sense so that they can understand better that I'm not just trying to, you know, be snarky or be sarcastic. Like there's actual data, facts, statistics that back up why I say what I say.
Right.
Right.
And you just want the data and the facts to be in their favor.
Yes.
That's the only reason why you're sharing this stuff.
Exactly. I'm like, I want you to win.
So,
Right.
now, I've noticed this. I've noticed this trend, and I'm sure you probably noticed it even more, and I'd like you to touch on this, especially when it comes to the physical stuff. Like
Yeah.
you said, you're helping women improve first their face and makeup and stuff like that, body, fitness, then, you know, how they go about interacting with men and stuff like that, personality.
Yeah.
When it comes to change and saying, hey, this is something that we're going to grow in so that you can become this and be better at this so that you can better your results because you're saying you don't like the results you're getting. Have you ever got the response of like, well, I can't be me. I need to, what's wrong with me? I'm like, guys should want me for me. And that's not me.
Mm-hmm.
Have you come across that?
Yeah, I've come across that. And even I used to be that kind of person where I was like, I don't want to change for a man. Like, you should just accept me as I am. But you know what I hit women with? A lot of women, I'd probably say 95% of women, if you ask them what they want in a man, they have a list of at least 20 to 30 bullet points. And I say this because I know I've seen them. I've seen the list. They're long. It's a ton of things, and it's the most ridiculous things. So I'm like, if you expect a man to hit, you know, these 30 plus different characteristics, but you can't even lose a couple pounds and put on a decent outfit, I'm just like, you don't deserve the man that you want. Because, you know, a lot of women, most women, you know, they want the 6'6" Chad. They want the guy that's 6 foot, makes 6 figures, and has a 6-inch wiener. I'm not saying that's me, because that's definitely not me, but I'm saying a lot. That's exactly
that's it.
And yeah, if you
Yeah,
results on your
okay. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Why did Zach make that face? Because it's funny. I've never heard that one before.
Really?
No, I've heard 6 foot and I've heard 6 figures, but I never heard the last one.
Oh yeah, no, it's a thing.
Yeah. I said maybe some of them are underselling themselves, you know. But anyway,
Yeah.
let's get so. What's the reason behind? Because you said you used to feel like this. Yeah, 6 packs. I used to think it was a 6-pack. So, what is the reason behind like having that resistance to changing who you are?
Yeah, I think it's an ego and a pride thing. I think that I was just very stubborn and I just had so much ego. And I think a lot of women, like when you watch, I don't know if you guys watch Fresh and Fit. I was on there once. I don't personally like watch it religiously, but I check it out sometimes. And like when
you were on there?
I was on there once. Yes, correct.
Oh, that's cool. Oh yeah, you're in Miami. I forgot.
Yeah, Miami. Yeah, but so rate the woman, a lot of, well, I'd probably say 90% of the women always say they're a 10, and it's just like visually looking at them, like I know they're not 10s. You can just see it. They're just not. 10 means you're perfect, and these women are not perfect. So I think a lot of women, you know, they just overestimate their value out of just ego, pride, ignorance, and they don't want to face the fact that, you know, you want a top 5% man, but you are average at best. You are not top 5%. A lot of women can't accept that harsh truth, and therefore it holds them back, because it's hard. I think as a woman, it's hard to take accountability. Even I can say that it is hard to take accountability for your results and be honest with yourself.
Why though? Like, if you, no, but this is why I'm saying why, because you're not saying, or maybe you're saying, I don't think you're saying that, hey, you're average and you always will be average. I think it's saying, with what you have done so far, you have gotten the below average results you want. If you do this, you cannot be in that sphere and you can be in a different area.
Yeah.
I don't see how that's negative. That's basically saying you have a chance.
You have a chance.
It's all in your hands now.
Right.
You have the control. You can do this.
But they don't
Why
want to hear that.
is that offensive?
Well, I think speaking for women, I think that women, again, it's a pride thing. It's like we don't want to feel as if we're not perfect, because Disney told us that we're princesses and our parents told us we're queens, and, you know, we're the best and everyone should worship us. So I think growing up, when you're put on that pedestal, like even my parents put me on that kind of pedestal. Like I was always told that I'm a perfect diva and like I deserve the world and I shouldn't settle XYZ. So when you grow up and you hear that, which a lot of other women grow up hearing, you know, you think that you're perfect, so it's very hard to step down from that and humble yourself, not only before men but also before God. Yeah. Yeah.
So you think that it's like a lot of programming from the world. And
Sure.
now let me ask you this. And obviously your church is maybe a different church, but have you seen a lot of Christian, I've seen a lot of Christian churches that will almost still do that with women. When it comes to the women Bible study or the women's night, you know, you always wonder what's going on in there. And then if a guy were to like put his ear on the window, he's thinking that he's going to hear, women, it's time to step up, you know, because that's what you hear at the men's thing. It's time to step up. You know, we got to man up, blah, blah, blah. The women's thing, you hear, you know, you're a princess. You know, you're God's God's daughter, and God protects his daughters. And if anyone doesn't respect God's daughter, God doesn't like them. And, you know, blah, 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 which I'm not saying some of that may not be untrue, but where's the part about you need to grow and you need to change too? God needs to change you too. Where you're at isn't enough. And this idea of I'm not enough being bad.
Yes.
I'm not enough. I'm enough. I'm enough. You were enough. All these women think saying you're enough, you're enough, you're enough. No, technically you're not, if you're not getting the results you want. But what's wrong with not being enough if you have the ability to change that?
Yeah, for sure.
Isn't the message of the Bible, you are not enough?
That's
why you need Jesus? Isn't that the message? You're not enough.
Right.
Why can't they accept that?
Yeah, and again, I think going back to the churches, luckily in my church, we don't have that issue. Again, like my pastor preaches on submission. He preaches against, you know, women being lazy and fat. Like he literally tells us, you know, about how to be that Proverbs 31 woman. He tells us, you know, even about, you know, when you have a husband, you know, don't withhold sex. Like that's a very big topic that a lot of churches will not touch on. So luckily in my church, we don't have that issue, but my church is a very small church. We have like probably less than 100 people. It's such an amazing church, like so biblical. Everything is literally straight from the Bible. But when I visited other churches around where I live, again in South Florida, no one is preaching any of that. They're just preaching surface level. God is love, butterflies, rainbows, no repentance, no, you are not good enough, no, humble yourself. So just the overall message within the church, I think, is that there's just no accountability within the church, I think, in most mega churches and just churches in general.
So when you see those Instagram posts that say 15-year-old girl or 21-year-old girl, you are enough. I as a person, I can understand kind of what they're trying to say.
I get it, yes.
But can you connect the dots of what they're trying to say and how that's dangerous, and maybe the bridge of, we're not saying the opposite of what this message is trying to portray. We are just saying that accepting that message at face value is dangerous and will lead to some bad things that you won't, like.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that when they put out that message, I'll just give you like a story with me. So when I was like 14, 15, I was on Instagram, I think around that age, like 13, 14, 15. And I used to look at a lot of influencers. And when I would see like the girls with, their fake butt, their fake boobs, fake lips, all that stuff, like I wanted that. I remember being a freshman in high school, I wanted butt done. I wanted to get my boobs done. I wanted lips done. I wanted everything done. So I think maybe that's what they might be saying. Like, you are enough. You don't have to aspire to this unrealistic beauty standard.
Okay.
But then that at face value, and they're just, oh, I'm just automatically enough. I'm perfect. A man should accept me as I am, regardless of how I look, how I speak, how I treat him, how I behave. So I think they have good intentions in the beginning, but then it can be distorted and be and turn into a very narrative that, again, is giving women very bad results overall, and especially in the dating market.
So basically, the healthy woman who sees the girl with the breast implants, the fake lips, the fake eyes, the fake hair, the fake nails, fake everything, hears that message saying, no, you're enough. And like, oh, let me take this stuff off. And then the 375-pound woman reads the message, I'm enough. Yeah, I'm enough.
She goes, let me get off this treadmill. I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do we still tell the woman who's getting the fake hair, the fake everything, hey, you're enough, without telling the woman who's put herself in a bad situation, hey, no, you need to take accountability, you need to fix that? How do we make those messages not, mess the other person up? Or do you think that they're just, the people in this category, just looking for a reason to quit taking accountability and say, oh, I'm enough. No more treadmill for me. Yeah, I'm enough.
Yeah. I think we just have to be more honest overall. I remember, I think a couple months ago I said on my story, I said, ladies, we need to stop working on smashing the patriarchy, and we need to get back to smashing the weight room and the treadmill. And I just think that, that was obviously very harsh, but women need to hear that. So I think we just need to be more honest overall and start telling people how it is, versus like these I am enough messages are very surface level, and they're not doing too much. We need to be more honest with people as like, here is what it is, and this is why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why do you think they want to smash the patriarchy?
They want to smash the patriarchy because they want to disobey God. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I
mean, there's gotta be some, like, with even the most evil of atrocities in the world, there was a reason. The reason was never, I just want to be evil. The reason was related to something that they saw, that they thought, maybe there's a correlation between this and this, and we don't like this, so we'll get rid of this.
Yes.
There's got to be. I detest feminism as much as the next person.
Same.
But I don't think that, do you really think that the reason is just because they're like, I just want to be God? Or do you think that there's some sort of like, it's a bunch of girls who their dad left them, or saw their dad beat up their mom, and so now they're just hurt, and taking that hurt, and then now they're at a whole nother place where they're just using that as an excuse to fuel whatever things they're trying to do?
Yeah, well, I think with divorce and single mother homes skyrocketing, obviously there are a lot of women that are wounded and jaded. And like I said, my parents are divorced. There was domestic violence in my family as well. So I think that a lot of that is causing it. I know a lot of the feminists that I know, like, they come from broken homes. So yeah, definitely just the upbringing overall. Like, when you see your parents, you know, arguing and they split up and your dad hit your mom and your mom is cursing out your dad, like, yeah, it genuinely does give you a jaded view of marriage and relationships, and you just think that, you know, the best revenge is, like, let's just screw men and we're gonna go our own way and we're gonna make our money and have our Gucci bags and have our dog and we're just gonna be happy. And I think, you know, it sounds all cute and dandy when you're in your 20s, but it's like once you hit 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, it's like, wow, what was I thinking? And we see it all the time. We see it all the time on TikTok. If you look, women are crying because they're 40 and single. So, you know, they're acknowledging that, you know, it's not working. But I just think, again, women have so much pride where a lot of them just, they know deep down, like, they want to, you know, work from home. They want to be the homemaker. They want to have the kids, but they just have been taught, you know, I got to be strong. I got to be independent. But, you know, it's not working. It's not working. We see it all the time. Yeah.
This is going to sound random. Did you ever watch X-Men as a kid?
No, never.
Okay. Well, this is going to seem off topic until, you know, I tie it all together. But that's how I, you know, get points across sometimes. In the X-Men, there's a team called the X-Men, right? Their goal is to live peacefully in the world. In the world of X-Men, there's people called mutants that have all these crazy powers, and there's regular people. There are groups of people called the Friends of Humanity, and these people hate all mutants, and they want to wipe out all mutants. Then there's a group of mutants called the Brotherhood, and they think that they are superior to humans because they have powers and stuff like that. They don't like all humans, basically. And then there's the X-Men who want the world to be a peaceful place. Then there's some humans that just want to survive, and there's some mutants that just want to survive.
Yeah.
In the world of the X-Men, the Friends of Humanity will cause issues to try to make mutants look bad, to try to rile up a lot of other humans to say all mutants are bad. The Brotherhood will find select stats and things about humans and say, hey, we're going to try to find these reasons why humans are bad, and they try to coerce some random mutants to join their team. And then there's this ominous figure behind all of it. His name's Apocalypse. And all he wants is for the world to be destroyed. And sometimes he'll shapeshift in the form of a Friends of Humanity person. Sometimes he'll shapeshift in the form of the Brotherhood, and he'll cause them to fight. And what the X-Men's job is they're constantly taking on the Brotherhood. They're constantly taking on the Friends of Humanity. The Brotherhood says, hey, thought you guys were on our side. You're mutants too. They're like, yeah, we are, but we're against the Friends of Humanity. We want everyone to live peacefully, and we're going to attack anyone who's trying to attack that. In the same way as believers, we are X-Men, so to speak. Yeah. We do not side with people who say, oh, this feminist thing, we're going to, like you said, the feminist, we're going to screw marriage, all men are evil, blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, me and C Love have seen this. We see people who like the fact that, hey, call out feminists and all this kind of stuff, and then they jump on this, yeah, let's walk away from marriage. That'll teach them. Like, walking away from marriage, what? And they, this red pill, black pill stuff. I'm like, dude, we're on God's side. And what you guys don't realize is the person behind all of this, the feminism, the black pill, red pill stuff, is Apocalypse, Satan, the devil, Lucifer, the one who wants everything that God wants to go to waste. 100%. And what he would love is for God's first commandment to be broken by people because they view a whole gender of people as evil and the problem.
Yes.
And so it's like, as believers, like you are, and like you've said, the Bible is what brought you out of feminism.
Yeah.
And the Bible is going to line up with truth.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? The Bible will bring a guy who's had his heart broken by some girl, and now he's watching all these videos of how women are evil, and now I'm not getting married.
Yeah.
You know, when he doesn't really have the option to get married because he's still living in his mom's basement. But anyway, he's saying, "Oh, I'm walking away from marriage and stuff," just like the 300-pound feminist that says, "I'm never gonna open my legs to a man." It's like no one's trying to get over there, lady. So the Bible and being based in Christ is what brings people to the side of the people that are really fighting the real fight, which is the fight of truth, being a light in a world of darkness.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I kind of went on and on there. We got someone that wants. Oh, Chris, got someone that wants to join.
We're gonna clip that up.
For
Maybe,
sure.
yeah, we probably clip that.
Sure,
We gotta clip up your stuff because you said some pretty powerful stuff yourself.
Yo, what's up?
But
What's up, Chris?
I can't see him yet. There's a delay on my end.
Where you at?
You
Can
hear
you hear
me?
me? Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear y'all.
Where you coming from?
Man, we had like a coaches meeting. So we,
Okay,
they had food for all the coaches and stuff. You know, we about to go in the playoffs. So, and then I had court earlier. So,
Okay.
Oh, he cut out.
Yeah, he's off.
He's off?
Yeah.
I didn't see him the whole time.
He was on for a little bit, then he cut out.
When I try to add another person, there's like a delay.
There is a delay, yeah.
Let me see if I can add him. Let me see if I can request him, and then he'll come back on again. But yeah. So I think that as believers.
yeah, I'm back. I don't know what happened.
All right, we're waiting on Zach because there's like that delay.
Yeah, it always does that for some reason.
There we go. I see him.
Okay,
What's up?
What's going on, man?
Not much. Just getting we had like a coaches dinner with all their families, bro. It was kind of weird, man. I was like the only single young guy. Everybody else has like 4 kids and stuff. It was weird, but it was cool. It was all good. So what we talking about? What y'all talking about?
We were just talking about the state of, I guess the original point was we were talking about the state of like feminism, how it's affected, relationships and really our world today, how things are growing up. But you would probably like this because she has some really good points about.
My bad. My name is Chris. They're bad hosts. They didn't introduce nobody. My name is Chris King.
Everybody knows who Chris King is.
I know who he was, but I saw you guys saying Chris, so I was like, I assume this.
You see?
You just assumed that was Chris, and there you go.
If you don't know who Chris King is, you must be living under a rock. Come on. Yeah, but
what's your name?
She had some really good points about the correlation between success, kind of what we were talking about the other night, success and masculine energy and being able to tone that down in a relationship, stuff like that. Can you touch on that a little bit, as you were saying before?
Are you asking Chris?
Yeah, to explain it to him, because we have these conversations all the time.
Yeah.
I think you're muted. Mm-hmm.
There's something happened with your mic. Chris, you might want to mute your phone.
Yeah, Chris. Okay, is Chris muted?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, my mic is working.
That doesn't happen very often. You get to mute Chris.
Yeah. Just to kind of catch Chris up, so I was just talking about, in my audience, I have a lot of 18 to 24-year-olds. I'm 22, so I'm obviously very young. I'm new to my femininity journey. And I was just talking a lot about how women think. So the main thing and like my favorite thing that I think I talked about was just with women in their, their prime, 18 to 24, a lot of them are subjecting themselves to casual sex, men that don't truly want to marry them. hot girl summers, you know, the hoe phases that last a decade. That's what I, you know, have seen a lot of. So I've just been really working on my platform to wake younger women up to, because I think when it comes to the femininity space, a lot of women that are trying to help people, but I don't see a lot of women my age specifically. So I think that, you know, me being 22, that I can really like level with these younger women and help to show them, you know, that these feminist ideology that a lot of them have adapted to and taken on, you know, it's just pretty much everything that glitters is not gold. You know, it sounds good in theory a little bit, but it's like when you really dive into it and you see the long-term effects of it, it's very damaging. And I was even mentioning too, like, you know, when you're in your 20s, being single can be fun, of course, but it's like, you know, once you hit 35, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, like it's not cute. And I know that because I see a lot of women that are 50s and divorced, like women in my family, and like they're the most bitter women that I know. So it's like, you know, when you're 20 and you're hot, like, yeah, being single can totally be fun, but I just want women to think long term, because, you know, life is a long term game. We're not going to be here forever, but it's like most of us are probably going to live until, you know, 70s, 80s, hopefully even 90s, and we have to really just consider like, how is life going to look long term, not just how is life going to look, you know, when I'm 20 and my butt is huge and like my face is hot. Like, you know, how does it actually look long term? I try to encourage women to just really think about that.
So I think one of the big things I would ask for you to touch on too, especially because some of his followers are on. We always get somebody that wants to hop in on this one about the idea I can have it all. I am gonna be the boss babe, and if you know, I'm gonna make six figures, I'm gonna climb the corporate ladder, and if he can't handle me, he don't deserve me. What's your like? How do you like? What would you say to that person that's watching right now, that's just furious and ready to join in on the call? We just got a request from someone, but go ahead.
Okay, so as far as someone that wants it all, I think that the idea of women having it all is a fantasy. Like, it's either one or the other. Not always, but for the most part, it's like either you want to be that corporate boss babe that's slaving away at a job, or you want to be a wife and a mother. You know, you can try to do both, but I just see that when women try to do both, they end up just sucking at it all. Like they say sometimes, when you try to do everything, you end up doing nothing, because theoretically, like, women are just, we weren't designed by God to do it all. So I think that it really has to be like, either you're going to, you know, go fully all in on this feminist ideology and like you're just gonna, you know, adopt your dog and you want to just genuinely die alone, or you're gonna follow God's path for you. And it's like, again, like we were saying, you know, if you want to work as a woman, you can work, but if your dreams are genuinely to go climb the corporate ladder and you want to hustle, then it's going to be very hard for a man to take you serious as a potential wife and as the mother of his children. No sensible man that wants the best wife and the best mother is going to opt for a woman that puts her career first, because it says in the Bible that women are called to be the keepers of the home. The Proverbs 31 woman wasn't at a 9 to 5. She wasn't in a cubicle. She was at home taking care of her husband and her kids. And of course, you know, she did have skills, but again, like, those skills did not come before her husband and her children. Of course, number one is God. Let me not forget that. Yeah.
So, two things. One, Chris, you were muted, so go ahead and hop on and tell us your thoughts. And then we have someone that wants to request to join as well, too. And we can only have four on.
Yeah, so I was just gonna ask, like, and me and Zach literally had this debate like every 5 minutes, right? But like, I agree. Like there's something, like, you're gonna have to give, right, on some area, right? To a certain extent, I don't think anybody, to, you know, men and women, can have it all to a certain extent, right? Like, there's always going to be some sacrifices. There's always going to be some things you kind of got to give and take on, right? I just think, depending on what you want, you, like, for women and men, you got to figure out what you want in a wife, in a husband, in a life, with children, and you have to find somebody that can match to your plan how you see it, right? If you want to do the whole career thing, you probably shouldn't get with a guy that wants to do the whole career thing and do it, you know, if not at a higher level than you, right? You need somebody that can complement you well, and vice versa. So my question to you is, how does, because you said like there's like a sweet age bracket, right? Between maybe what 18 and like 24,
20,
25 for women, to where
correct.
you look your best, where you know got the youth going for you, the beauty going for you. How does women in those age brackets maximize that opportunity, right? Maximize the season that they're in, not to necessarily just get a husband, but to kind of play the long game and you know maximize that season that they're in.
Yeah, good question. He muted himself? Okay, cool. So as far as a woman being 18 to 24 and maximizing her youth, like I was saying earlier, I think that the first thing is that you have to take accountability for your results. So you have to like look at yourself, like, you know, where are you lacking? How have your past relationships gone? Like, where were you toxic? You know, what kind of men were you picking? What kind of cycles are you stuck in? I think the first thing for women in my age group is we have to take radical responsibility for our past and for what we want. And then once you're honest with yourself, I think that it starts to come to a point where you start to, like I was saying earlier, you know, when it comes to initial attraction from a man, it's obviously based on how you look. So it's like working on your face, your overall appearance, you know, dressing better, looking more feminine. Even, you know, going to the gym, working on your body. Those are things that are going to help you attract men initially. And I also tell women too, as you guys can imagine, you're 18 to 24, most women, where do they go to find men? They're going to college parties, frat parties, you know, stupid bars. I tell women, no, instead, what you should do is you need to position yourself in places where high value men, and that doesn't mean anything about money. It can mean money, but I think it's actually a lot more than how much you have. There's a lot of other things that come down to a man being high value as far as being a good husband. But I position yourself in places where you can find good men. Don't go to a frat party, you know, go to like a golf event, go to a tennis game, go to church, go to the gym. Like that's where you're probably more likely to find high quality men. And, you know, look the part, dress the part, don't leave your house like a mess, you know, have a nice attitude, don't have, you know, that straight RBF face that nobody wants to see out in public. It's really about just, you know, cultivating your overall appearance and your attitude as well. Yeah.
We have somebody that wants to hop on real quick. Chris, can you hop off and hop back on when she gets off?
I'll get off. Chris want to stay on.
Okay. Yeah, whoever.
All right.
Do rock, paper, scissors or something.
I'll get off.
All right.
No. Yeah. You could take me off and I'll hop back on after.
All right.
Okay.
Cool.
Because I should be home by then.
All right. Okay. Let's go ahead and see. It's doing that freeze thing again. I still see him on the screen. Let's see. I'll just read some of these comments while I'm waiting for him to officially be off of my screen. I know you guys don't see him, but I still see him. There's a delay. Maybe I need to get new Wi-Fi or something. Thinking about switching over to AT&T. I've got Spectrum. Some of these conversations, some of this conversation is problematic because y'all are throwing around the word feminism because we want equal rights between sexes. Maybe that's a question you can respond to. Basically, it sounds like what this lady is saying is that feminism, there we go. That feminism is just wants equal rights between sexes, and I've never been in feminism, so she can explain better than I can. But if you want to come on, click the camera tab, we'll bring you on, and then you guys can kind of discuss that a little bit, obviously in a respectful way.
Yeah.
We've got someone else that requested to come on. I'm adding her first, and then we'll see.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. I didn't get you guys' name when you were first speaking. I know Julia. Is it Julia
Julia.
Bailey?
Yes, correct.
Okay, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
My name is Nicosia.
The Kelsia?
Yes.
There's the lady.
Okay.
And your
She
name?
Love. Nice to meet you.
I
What
hear
did
you
you say?
guys talking to
Sheila?
somebody. I know she's on, but I can't see her
Yeah,
yet.
She Love.
Left.
She got off.
Okay, I didn't see her the whole time. So I'm gonna try to add her back.
Yeah, let's add her back.
Okay, here we go. Now, if she hops on, it'll probably show up on my screen.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I don't have my camera on because it's really late where I'm at, so if that's okay.
That's fine. Do you have a question, or do you have anything you wanted to add to the
Yeah, I
conversation?
wanted to add to the conversation because for me, I feel like while I love some of the comments that Julia gave, I feel like it's a perspective based on her truth, based on her reality. Most women have either come from, marriage.
My truth, it's God's truth.
Man, okay, hold up. I can't see who is talking right now. I can't even hear them because it just shows 3 people, us 3.
Well,
but I heard
she left.
my truth. Is she gone?
She left. No, she left.
She clicked off?
I guess.
Yeah.
Like you saw her go like this and then it went off, or?
No, she doesn't have her camera on, and then it just went away.
Oh, okay.
Like she was speaking, and then it just cut off.
Oh my God.
Okay. I'm gonna add the other person.
Yeah, let's do that.
Maybe hers will be. It says it keeps kicking her off. It's because it's not showing up on mine for some reason. Don't request to join. I'll just send it to you this time.
God said nope.
Hey, when whoever pops up, you guys have the conversation until I see him, because I'm not.
Sounds good.
Are they on?
Where they at?
All right. I'm going to try this one more time. You know, and this is why everyone who's on here, just subscribe to the YouTube channel, because when we do live on
way
YouTube,
better on YouTube.
we don't have these problems on YouTube.
Facts.
So just go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Link is in our bio. Okay, let's try this again. Boom. Boom. I'm going to see if she shows up on mine.
Let's see.
Because I feel like this is going to be a really good discussion.
Yes, we're back.
I can hear you, but let me wait for his video to show because it's like it's loading.
All right. Let us know when you got it.
What's going on?
She's on. She's waiting for the video to load so she can see you and you can see her.
Well, you guys go ahead.
Do you guys see him?
It doesn't matter. I'll hop on when I hop on. You guys go ahead.
Really? Okay.
Okay, well, continue what you were saying. About,
yeah, basically what I was saying is that the perspective that Julia gave.
She's gone.
Bruh. What the heck?
Oh.
All right, hold up real quick. I'm gonna try to get better. Okay, now you guys are loading. Let me fix the problem.
I think she's trolling us now. I think that's her. I think she's doing it. Trolling us.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Let's see what happens this time.
Just type it in the comments, sis.
Oh, there we go.
Hello.
Okay, hey. So what's your name? Where are you from?
I'm Epiphany. I'm in Harlem, New York.
Nice.
So definition, feminism, the advocacy of women's rights on the basis of equality of the sexes. So I'm just saying it's very, frivolous to throw around the word feminism when it's coming and making it seem like, oh, it's the horrible thing, it's the worst thing that's ever happened to us. My 1 hour a day being like, let's say I'm supposed to get paid $17 an hour. You're having the same position as me, supposed to get $17 an hour, right?
Let me just say this before you go there. I wouldn't use that argument with her. I'm just saying. Please don't use that argument.
Because
it's
equal pay. That
okay.
You're saying let's throw the baby out with the bathwater, and I'm just saying I want the right to get the same pay as you. I'm not saying that.
Hold up. I'll give you one more chance. Don't bring the wage gap argument up in this. I'll give you one more chance. There's a reason why. It's for your benefit. Why you don't want to bring that argument up?
I'm listening. Why not?
Because it's been debunked multiple times.
That what?
The statistics that they used to figure out to come up with the wage gap theory was, let's just take women's average earnings and men's average earnings, and let's just see. They didn't say in the same industry, working the same amount of years, with the same amount of dedication. They didn't do that. And so what you find is that the majority of women who go into the workforce, once they have children, they leave the workforce. That drops the average down. They go part-time. That drops the average down. They choose jobs that are different than men. That also drops the average down. The majority of men who have families and have children end up working even longer, which equals to higher pay. That brings their average up. So the whole wage gap argument has been debunked a long time ago. And here's the other thing. It is actually illegal. It is illegal to pay someone less who's doing the same job simply because of their gender. That's illegal. It's against the law.
Yeah.
That's why I said you
people
probably
don't break
shouldn't
the
bring
law.
that up.
So people don't break the law.
If it's a law, then
do people break the law? It's a yes or no question.
Of course, but it's illegal, meaning our whole system is designed to not do that. We don't reward people who break the law. We punish people that break the law.
It's not about reward or not. It's about a standard. Just like
even if people were to break the law, that does. I agree, but even if people didn't break the law or do break the law, it doesn't get rid of the facts that those statistics were flawed because they didn't take those things into consideration that I said earlier.
But it also doesn't get rid of the fact that my 60 minutes is the same as yours.
It is. It is. If you're working the same job as me with the same amount of experience, yeah, you'll make the same amount of money.
Come on, y'all are being really delusional right now.
The wage gap. I'm just saying that the wage gap argument has been debunked by statistics. Now, if we're gonna say feminism, if you're gonna say feminism is all about equality, right? That's what you're saying. That men and women are just as important. I agree with that statement. That men and women are equally valuable in the eyes of God. This is the only problem. Many studies, surveys. There was a survey that surveyed over thousands of women. And they said, do you believe that men and women should be equal? And the majority of them said yes. And then they asked, would you describe yourself as a feminist? The majority of them said no. The reason being is they did not equate feminism with equality. They equated feminism with thinking we're better than men or we don't need men. And that's what we're referring to.
Okay, I hear you. And I understand that that can happen, but that's the same way where people are like, I don't follow Black Lives Matter, but at the origin of
Right.
Black Lives Matter is just Black Lives Mattering. Just because some folks want to change a definition of something, it does not mean let's get rid of everything with it.
I'm not saying get rid of anything that's good. I'm not saying get rid of equality. I'm saying get rid of the idea that even most women believe that feminism represents, is that they don't need men. Patriarchy is evil. Masculinity is in itself evil and toxic, and I'm better off on my own without a husband, and I can't trust a man.
Some women, but I'm just saying it gets very dangerous when you're not being specific. That's it. Just be specific with your words. It is horrible that some women want to say that they're better, that they don't need, so on and so forth.
But
That's
those women call themselves feminists.
are you listening to what I'm saying? Okay,
And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about feminists.
just oh my God. The same reference goes to what I was saying about Black Lives Mattering.
I don't support that. I don't support the group Black Lives Matter.
Me either.
Black Lives
Me
Matter.
neither.
Me either.
I'm just
We don't
saying
support Black Lives Matter.
more specific with your language. You just said you don't support the group Black Lives Matter. You were specific. You
Right.
didn't say I don't support Black Lives Matter. That's all I'm saying. Just be
Right.
specific with your words.
I don't support feminism, but I support equality.
Thank you. Thank you. That's all I'm asking for, because just throwing around just part of the thing is not helpful. We should get more specific in our language.
But I think when we say feminists, I mean, if you didn't know, what did you think we were referring to when we said a feminist?
that period, women do not deserve equal rights as men.
No, we're talking about modern feminism. Today's feminists.
But
not the feminism of
that's where
old.
we get back to definitions.
I would even ask, in what way did we express that we don't think men and women are equal or should be equal? In what way did you think that you got that from us? What did we say that expressed that remotely?
I'm just saying. Okay, what was the exact? I don't remember the exact wording.
Okay.
I don't. But I'm just saying we just should be more specific in our language. That's
I
it.
got you. Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. No, I agree. And I think if anything I said or she said came off like, hey, we're saying that men are better than women or women are better than men, we're not saying that. We're just saying that what we call feminism today, a lot of feminists today aren't fighting for the right to vote or the right to have jobs, the right to get a driver's license, or not walk around with, whatever they want to wear. A lot of feminists today are arguing for the idea of, I want to be able to kill my baby. I want to be able to live my life without consequences and do whatever I want because it's fun now and I shouldn't have to deal with consequences. I want to be able to force a man to have a son and pay for it, but I shouldn't be forced to have a son or a daughter because of decisions I made. That's the feminism we're talking about today. The feminism that says any accountability, I want nothing to do with it, but I want the C-suite. I want the outcomes of men, but I don't have to do the work of men. I want 50-50 representation in the workforce. But not if we're talking about working in the sewers. I don't think 50% of women should be working in the sewers or bricklayers. I think it should only be 50% of business owners should be women. And so that's the feminism we're talking about. We're not talking about feminists who really don't exist anymore. They're not. Women aren't fighting for the right to vote now. So in that sense, if what you're referring to as feminism is just equality of opportunities, I'm all for that. I don't think anyone here is against that. What we're not for is what most feminists today in 2022 are fighting for. We're not fighting for that.
women have the right to do anything they want today. They even have the right to be a man. You become a man.
That's
You
true.
can stop being a woman tomorrow and become a man.
Yeah.
And
Just
I
like,
appreciate your specificity now. Thank you.
What are your thoughts on that?
What are my thoughts on
Feminism today, like what we talked about. Like, since we're being specific, we're not talking about voting rights. We're talking about these other things that we're talking about. Killing my baby because I don't feel like having them, or doing these other things. I want the C-suite, but I want 50% bricklayers. What are your thoughts on that stuff? Are we on the same page there?
when you're talking about jobs, whether man or woman, choose whatever job you want to do. Like, so with the whole the sewer situation, I mean, why would that be appealing to a woman? You know what I mean? So why would she want to do that?
Well, I guess it's just to have the equal right to do that, just like a man could do it.
Yeah, I feel, my personal opinion, I feel like if you're not hurting anyone, that's not my business. I'm not God. I can't judge you. Like,
Wait, if you're not hurting anyone in what regard? Just the job thing, or are you talking about other things we're talking
mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, if you're not hurting anyone, that's not my business. It's not for me to judge you.
about? What if you are hurting someone?
Then, of course, I'm not with that. Like, that is not okay.
So, like, okay, cool. So we're on the same page with, like, the abortion stuff and everything, too.
Say that again.
Oh, sorry. It's, for me, I can see you guys, but you guys are all frozen. So sometimes
Yeah, no,
it
something
does
is
delay.
wrong with Instagram.
Yeah.
Hello?
But, no, but I was saying, what's your thoughts on, like, the abortion thing, too? Because you said, like, go ahead.
I don't want anyone to have abortions.
Yeah.
No, but I
You
want
said,
people to do whatever they want to do that's best for them. I'm
well,
not
because
just
you said you're okay with it until people are harming other people.
If you're hurting someone mentally, physically, emotionally, yes,
Yeah.
that's what I said. I'm not okay with that.
So is, like, abortion hurting someone physically?
Not until, well, you can't have an abortion up until a certain point, and that's not for me to. I'm not a scientist. I don't remember the points where you can have an abortion, but a child isn't a child until a certain point, and like I said, that's not my business.
Well, a child, but a person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so you said that you're okay with people doing whatever they want to do as long as it's not hurting anybody. Someone
Correct.
has life and someone says, I'm going to take your life. I have a problem with that. I don't care, if it's because, like, this person's racist and they think, oh, I'm better than you, I can take your life. In the same way, life begins at conception. According to Princeton, according to the scientists, life biologically begins at conception. And so if there is a life there and you say, I'm going to take that life, isn't that affecting someone else's life physically and mentally and, like, kind of all those?
According to what you said about Princeton, but at conception, I would have to look into that. I don't know. I don't have to research.
No,
I don't remember.
I pulled it up
that.
right
I
here.
remember it's like a couple of weeks, so on and so forth, that that a child's life begins.
Okay, so I can show you Princeton.edu. At the moment the sperm cell of a human male meets the female, the union results in a fertilized, whatever that word is, and a new life has begun. In the same way that an infant or a newborn is different than a toddler or a teenager or an adult or a senior citizen. Those are all just different names for different stages of life. So the embryonic stage is still, or maybe I pronounced that right, maybe I didn't. For all the scientists that maybe watch this later, you didn't pronounce it right. That's still a stage of life. So regardless of 7 weeks or 13 weeks or whatever the thing is, if you're saying it's okay out of convenience to kill somebody else, I just have a problem with that because, like you said, it's not right. Slavery was not right. Jim Crow was not right. The Holocaust was not right because they said these people don't really count as much because blank. And so that's where, as a believer, and I'm assuming you're a believer.
Yes.
Yeah. As a believer, I would, as a fellow believer, because like I said, you are a believer as well. We are, all four of us are in part of the same body. We may be at different points in our life, different points of our spiritual walk, but we are all in the same body. So anyone who may watch this and say, "Oh man, he tore apart that girl," or whatever point that, no, she's on our. If she's a believer, she's on our team. So I just want to put that out there. But as a believer, I would challenge you to look at it, life, as valuable simply because God said it is. And we got to be careful listening to the world that will say, and has even influenced some churches that say, well, it's not, it doesn't really count because blank. Because I live in Alabama. There were pastors during the Jim Crow era, during slavery, in my state, that would say things like, well, it's not really a human. God said, 1 John 4:20, I believe, God is love. If anyone says he loves God yet hates his brother, he is a liar. For anyone who does not love his brother whom he has seen can never love God whom he has not seen. That doesn't apply to those people. And there were pastors, I'm sure, during the Holocaust that did the same thing. And we have to be very careful to filter what the world says through the lens of the gospel, and then say, if it goes against this, we need to really evaluate it, and we realize, hey, this isn't of God. And that's where I would say that when it comes to that, as believers, that needs to be something we can never stand for. In terms of I'm going to take someone else's life out of convenience. And in Jeremiah, Julius brought this one up, how it says God said that in the womb he knew Jeremiah.
Yeah.
And so there was a soul there, and I would just, I know this whole thing started because we were talking about, we need to be more specific when we refer to feminism, which I agree with you on. But when it comes to that, as a church, there shouldn't be any question marks over whether we should end someone's life based on convenience or not.
I hear you.
But
what do you hear?
What I'm going to say is, when you say, as a church, we need to also realize that there are individuals with individual circumstances that have to continue living their lives day by day that we're not living.
Right.
So taking away someone's choice, knowing that you can never step into someone else's shoes, I don't think that is right.
I will never know what. Have you read? There's a book. Oh, here it is. Have you read this book? Booker T. Washington, Up from Slavery. Have you read it?
No, I have not.
Okay. Booker T. Washington founded Tuskegee University, Tuskegee, Alabama. He was born a slave. I believe he was one of the first African Americans to graduate from Harvard or something like that. I'm not sure. But in the book, he talks about when slavery ended, what happened to a lot of the slave masters. They lost everything. Their life was ruined. Their life sucked. Guess what? I will never know what it's like to go from having slaves to now I don't have slaves and I have no money and now I'm broke and now I don't know what I'm going to do. Now I don't know how I'm going to survive. I'll never know what that's like, and I'm sure that was terrible for them. That being said, I cannot sit by and say, because that would suck, I'm going to allow you to keep this person enslaved and force them to work for you for nothing while you whip them, beat them, and treat them like an animal. In the same way, I may not know, oh man, this is going to cost you a lot of money. This is going to be very inconvenient. You may have to skip, take night classes at college. You may not get the college experience that you thought you were going to have, blah, blah, blah. Especially if it's a choice. I'm not talking about the less than 1% of rape and things like that. I'm talking about especially if it's a choice and the reason being is convenience. I don't think I'm ready. I would want to do this. I'm not ready to give up my life. So I'm going to kill somebody. That's even though I'm not walking in that person's shoes, that's never a reason. I may not walk in the shoes of somebody that says, I'm going to rob and kill this person and take their money because I'm hungry. I may not know what it's like. I don't understand what it's like, but I'm never going to say it's okay or it's good. I've got to call it what it is. I've got to call it evil. Now, I'm not saying, hey, it's evil and you're unredeemable and blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you've made any worse choices than I have. I've sinned as well. But we got to call sin sin.
Right.
Regardless of who it is. And when we stop doing that as a church, then we stop being the light in the world of darkness. We are not lighting anything. If we stop doing that, we're not good for anything. We might as well just turn the light off and just let the whole world be dark. Because when darkness is there, it's never exposed. How are they going to know if they've never been told? How can they know if they don't know? If they've never been told?
But when the thing about that is you tell them, like you just said, how do you know if you've never been told? Not how do you know if I don't just take these rights away from you?
Do you think murder is wrong?
That I'm saying that why you're saying that it's a someone. I'm saying that some research shows that it's not a someone until a point. Research shows that it's not a someone until a certain
No. Research all shows it's a someone. Laws just say you can kill that someone up to this point. Research in biology has said scientifically it is a human. That is across the board. 99% of biologists and scientists understand that is a life. That is life. It is living. It is growing. It is alive. Things that are not alive can't grow. It's alive. It moves, it's alive. It needs energy to function. Like if you look up the definition of life, it is alive. No scientist will say it's not alive. The issue is this. They are arguing not whether it's alive or not. They're arguing who's more important, this person's convenience or this person's life. That's where the breakdown is. That's where it's problematic because no one's convenience should ever overtake someone's life. That's the problem. So, like, for example, I'll give you an example, right? So if you were to say, hey, you said earlier, you can't, we should tell them it's wrong and just know it's wrong, but we can't, we're phrasing it as we can't take away their right to do that. Okay, take that argument and say, okay, I have a 6-month-old son. What if, I can't afford him to be in my house anymore. What? I shouldn't kill him, but why does there have to be a law taking away my right?
You dragging it, but
How?
uh,
What's different? What's different?
that
What's the
baby
difference?
is that baby is out in the world and has experienced the world, has experienced you and your family. That baby is living.
At what
So that's
point?
what he's saying.
At what point?
He's saying that.
At what point does it become living? In your definition, because science says it becomes living at the beginning, but by your definition, what point does that life matter enough to where you can't kill it without repercussions?
Who said that there wasn't going to be any repercussions? I'm just
Legally.
I don't know the specific times. Like I said earlier in the conversation, I need to do more research. But what my main thing is, we don't know everyone's circumstance. We're not living everyone's life. And when people know the thing, give folks the information. And that whole thing where you feel like you have to jump in between someone else's sin, like that is where things get.
What if someone sins murder? Should we jump in front of that? We jumped in front of slavery's sin? We jumped in front of the Nazi sin?
But
we jumped in front of Jim Crow's sin?
Their own body, sin within their own body.
If you do whatever you want with your own body in that regard.
That is all I'm saying.
That's not your body, though. When you're affecting someone else, you're affecting someone else's body. And you know what? No, you can't do whatever you want with your own body. Go prostitute yourself, see what happens. That's illegal, too. Take your own body outside with no clothes on, see what happens.
Okay, and there will be some repercussions.
Legally, yes.
So then, who are you to be like, I'm going to jump in front of this person to make sure they don't do this, that, and the third?
If I live in a country that says, hey, you guys get to pick the laws. You guys get to pick what's right and wrong. You guys get to pick what direction we head on certain issues. And they say, hey, what about this one? Can we have slaves? No. Why? Because that person's valuable. And you don't get to treat them like an animal because it's convenient for you. What about Jim Crow? What is your guys' thoughts on that? No, I don't agree with it. So if I live in a country where we're allowed to choose the laws, if there's one that says, hey, should this person be able to be killed because of this person's inconvenience? I'm always going to say no. I'm always going to jump in front of that. I'm always going to jump in front of a weak person that can't defend themselves and try to stop them from a person that's trying to cause harm. Isn't that what we're called to do as believers?
We're not gonna get anywhere because, like I said, that you keep using this thing of person where.
What is it? What? It's alive. How is a toddler a person?
Yes.
Is a newborn a person?
Yes.
Is it a person when the heart's beating? Is it a person right the second before it comes out of the womb?
Right before it comes
the second
out.
before it comes out of the vagina, is it a person?
Right before it comes out, yes, it is.
Okay, at what point does it magically become a person?
I am not sure. Like I said, I have not done the research.
But okay, let me ask you this. If science concluded, if you did the research and you found out that science concluded it is a person, would your thoughts be the same or different?
Say that again?
If you found out, and finally my camera's clear, I can see everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you found out, like let's say you do your research after this, and you find out that it is alive at this point, would you change your stance on this, or would you still have the same opinion?
Right after this, if
No,
I
I'm
found out,
saying you found out the truth. Let's just say the objective truth is that it is a person at this point. What would your stance be then?
my stance would be that it is wrong, but I'm not going as hard as y'all are going.
So your stance would still be the same.
It would still pretty much be the same.
Okay, got you. That's where the difference is. The difference is if I see a person that's being mistreated and seen as their life is less important than this person, that's where I'm going to step in and say that's not right. And that's where you and I disagree. And that's where I would challenge you as a believer to say, you can't, I would challenge you as a believer to wrestle with that in prayer and reading your word.
Heard
That's
you.
That's what I was.
But like I was saying, I've been said it's not right, but I've also said that I'm not going to take away these rights. I'm not going to go.
How is it a right if it's not right?
I feel like
we do
because
have
all the other circumstances, and
let me just say this. We do have someone else that wants to hop on.
do your thing.
But I will actually, yeah, but I will say this. I don't know if she loves going to try to hop on or not. I do appreciate you for hopping on because I do like these conversations, and I do think it's good for us to get to the truth. If I'm wrong and the truth is something, I want to find out what the truth is. And I would challenge everybody to do the same thing no matter where it leads. And so I appreciate your willingness to come on and have this conversation. And I will be praying that, hey, maybe your eyes are open to this. If it is the truth of God, and he said, I would challenge that, hey, I would challenge you on that and say, Lord, please open our eyes to see that. But I do appreciate you coming on, and I'm glad to hear you're a believer and you're open to at least looking for the truth and doing some research.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good night, y'all.
You too.
Bye.
That was interesting.
That was good.
Yeah. I'm sorry for not letting you get some words in there. I'm just really passionate about that
No,
topic in particular.
Yeah, I was gonna talk at one point, but I was like,
No.
Jared is just like working with you, so